Hello everybody, welcome to Wild Boy Movies, the place to talk movies. And today, we're going to be reviewing Creature Commandos Season 1, the start of James Gunn's brand new DCU. Right now I'm going to have some information up on screen for you to read, like network, rating, how many episodes there are. All of that will be up on screen for you to read right now. But be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below your thoughts on Creature Commandos Season 1. But without further ado, let's get right into the pros. Alright, starting off, I just gotta say that this is yet another huge win for James Gunn because I've liked a lot of this guy's films and what he's made, whether that be the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy or the Suicide Squad. Creature Commandos is definitely yet another great addition to James Gunn's catalog of superhero films and projects, and that makes me even more excited for his new Superman movie coming out in July. And even though I was already really looking forward to that movie, Creature Commandos made my excitement for that movie way higher. James Gunn just knows how to handle a group of oddball characters, and yeah, it worked well for Guardians and Suicide Squad, and again, it works very well with Creature Commandos, with the various different monsters that you get in the show, like the Bride of Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Weasel returning from James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. I feel like that all of them were pretty good, and yeah, for me, my favorite had to have been G.I. Robot. I just felt like that he was probably the best character of the entire show, had a great backstory, and I'm hoping that we get to see G.I. Robot in the upcoming Sergeant Rock movie that is in the works at DC Studios, because I really like that character of G.I. Robot. And yeah, other characters in here were pretty cool, like the Bride, Nina, Dr. Versus, and Weasel. I also really liked those characters, and yeah, but G.I. Robot had to be my favorite of the entire Creature Commandos lineup. I also really liked how each episode of the show basically went into each member of the Creature Commandos' origin stories. I felt like that was a great way to handle the origin stories while also mixing it in with the main plot of the show. I think for me, the best episodes in terms of character origins has to be G.I. Robot and Weasel. For G.I. Robot, I just liked the backstory and seeing that he does have a potential to be returning in that Sergeant Rock movie that I mentioned before, but the Weasel, I don't know what James Gunn did because he basically took what he did with the character of Rocket Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and basically did that exact same type of origin and put it into Creature Commandos with the Weasel's backstory, because the Weasel's backstory, I mean it when I say it, it's just as tragic as Rocket Raccoon's in the MCU. Like that episode involving the Weasel's backstory and seeing how he's basically, from what we learned from the Suicide Squad, he murdered 27 children. Well, in this backstory, we find out that no, he tried to save some children because some children were nice to him and treated him like he was like a pet dog or something, and yeah, I felt bad whenever Weasel was framed for murdering these children, and he was trying to save this one child and he couldn't. That is some of the things that James Gunn did very well in terms of some of these characters. That I'm hoping that he can do that same thing with that Superman movie coming out this year. In fact, it's all of these origin episodes that make you feel bad for some of these members of the Creature Commandos team, like Nina, Dr. Versus, and G.I. Robot, and in fact Weasel. I liked how James Gunn made us feel bad for some of these villains that are forced to go on this mission by the government and Amanda Waller. But speaking in terms of how this connects to the broader DCU, I think it did a good enough job at establishing this new DC universe, because yes, if you somehow don't know, the DCEU with the Snyderverse is basically dead, and we probably won't be going back to that universe probably ever, and this new universe is already kicked off, but really, according to James Gunn, it will fully kick off with Superman in July. But this DC universe does establish a new continuity for DC and makes projects like the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker Season 1 canon within this new DCU, because according to James Gunn, if an event from the previous DC universe is mentioned in the DCU, that automatically makes that event canon within the DCU, and the events of the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker are mentioned, and those make it canon. But also like how it further teased the future of the DCU, whether that be giving us small glimpses of Superman and Batman. And it just makes this new DC universe already feel really connected, and I have hopes that this universe can be a lot better than the DCEU, because nothing against the DCEU, but its timeline and structuring of the universe was just messy, to say the least. I also really like how this show was TVMA, so yeah, we are going to be getting some very brutal, bloody action sequences. Those action sequences were pretty fun, and yeah, I really did dig some of these characters like powers, like Dr. Faustus, like in this one shot where he puts his hand out and stops some bullets because he has like flame powers. That was pretty awesome to see them actually do in the show. But I think it's because of that TVMA rating that it makes a lot of these character origins a lot more darker and tragic to watch. Like Dr. Faustus and Weasel, those were probably gotta be like the most mature in terms of character origins, especially the latter one. But yeah, I do feel like that TVMA rating worked in its favor for Creature Commandos. So yeah, I felt like that Creature Commandos was a great way to kick off this new DC universe and puts this brand new universe off in a good direction. But there are still some things holding it back from being James Gunn's best superhero project, so that leads into the cons. Alright, starting off, I do want to say that the storyline involving Eric Frankenstein, David Harbour's character, was kind of underwhelming by the end of the season. I felt like that they did a good job setting up the dynamic between the bride and Eric Frankenstein, and I was expecting like a lot more action between those two in getting their next fight in, but I was kind of underwhelmed from their ultimate confrontation in the show in like the present time, and that was kind of disappointing. But yeah, I think that Eric Frankenstein's like overall story arc in this show was kind of a bit underwhelming. But putting that aside, that was probably like the only con I had of this show. Other than that, I really did end up liking Creature Commandos, and I am down to see a second season of the show, especially what they were teasing by the end of the first season with a new team. I cannot wait to see these characters return in Creature Commando Season 2 or wherever else in the DCU. So for my scorecard, I'm gonna give Creature Commando Season 1 4.5 stars, with the score out of 10 being 9.5 out of 10, with the percentage being 95%, with a grade of A, with my final verdict being a great start of the DCU. But that was my review on Creature Commando Season 1. I want to hear from you guys. What are your guys' thoughts on this first season and the overall start of the DCU? Go ahead and leave that down in the comments section. And while you're at it, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. And have a great day.